Hey guys, this is Candle, and yeah, I just cannot stay away. I don't know what it is with me, but I can't really stay away all that much. Yeah, we're doing a Let's Play, so I don't know what to tell you guys. We're doing a Let's Play. You know, I've keep getting this game stuck in my head, and I don't know why. I streamed it on Twitch not too long ago, but you know, now we're here on YouTube. So yeah, this is, oh, I think my audio's a little off. There we go. Now I shouldn't be peaking as much anymore, but yeah, we are doing the original Final Fantasy. This is the PSP version, which to me is the definitive edition. You know, not everybody sees it that way. The PS1 version is pretty good alternative to it. I consider doing like multiple different projects with this. I consider doing like critiques. I consider doing like it's Cinnamon Sin style, like everything wrong with, and just none of them seem to click for me. I keep coming back to Let's Plays. I don't know what it is, but I keep coming back to Let's Plays simply for the ease of editing and stuff like that. And I really do enjoy them, and I kind of miss doing them. But yeah, this version of the game, like I said, I think it's the definitive edition of the game. A lot of people do prefer the PlayStation version because it is closer to the NES original in terms of difficulty and stuff like that. You know, this version is based on the Game Boy Advance version, so it's a lot easier than earlier editions, but I still say it's a pretty damn good version. Plus, it's got all the extra content from the Game Boy Advance version and some extras as well. And yes, I am emulating this because, well, simply put, it is really, really difficult to get good quality footage off of a PSP without using expensive external upscalers, which I cannot currently afford. I don't have them and I can't afford them. So we're doing emulation, but before y'all start crying about piracy, I do have a legitimate copy of the game, a legitimate physical copy of the game. So it's not like I stole this or something. But because Sony in their infinite wisdom, they decided to make the PSP's resolution exactly 2 pixels taller than a proper 16:9 aspect ratio resolution. So it's I want to say 480 by 270, sorry, 480 by 272, which when you upscale to 4X would be perfect 1080p, except for the fact that it's now 1088. So we pretty much have a couple choices, and if why is my keyboard not working? Keyboard. There we go. If I go to settings, display editor. So I do have auto scaling set up. So we are losing the top and bottom pixels basically. But, you know, what can you do? It's either that or uneven pixel spacing. And honestly, losing one row of pixels to the top and one row to the bottom, I don't think it's that bad. But either way, you know, I'm glad to finally be playing this game again. We are going to be striving for 100% content completion, not necessarily 100% completion in total, because I'm not entirely sure I'm going to go after like all the bestiary stuff or get everybody up to max level, but I do want to do like all the optional dungeons that I can. So this is kind of really neat. It allows you to play in Japanese or Japanese kanji or kana as well, if you really want to. Instead, we're just going to do English because I can't read Japanese. But another decent thing is you can also like auto name your characters, and we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and keep him as a warrior, but we're going to delete all of those and go with Candle. See, the thing about Final Fantasy 1 is the Warriors of Light, that's your party, don't really have characters themselves. They don't have personalities. They don't have names. You get to figure that out. You can use the Thief. I don't like the Thief, though. Thief is kind of useless. He's just a weaker warrior slash fighter that has a higher chance of running away in battle, and that's about it. So this game with the reduced difficulty, I don't see us really ever needing to run away from battle. So we'll get rid of him. The Monk is a good choice, but the monk tends to be a bit overpowered, especially later on, once he becomes the Grandmaster and so on. And the thief can upgrade to the ninja, which gives him low-level black magic as well. But I still prefer the red mage. Red mage is a little bit weaker than the warrior, but it also uses low to medium level white magic and low to medium level black magic. So it's kind of a mix of the three classes of warrior, white mage, and black mage, and is a really good, well-rounded balance to the party. And because he's such a jack of all trades, we are going to also call him Jack. There we go. White mage, black mage, I do definitely want to keep those. You know, white mage is your healer, black mage is your offensive magic user. But since we have Jack, we may as well make our white mage Jill. For some reason, I always tend to think of the white mages as female. You know, it's not necessarily the case. You know, these sprites are pretty much mostly genderless, so especially the black mage. So you can name them whatever you want. But I always tend to think of the white mage as being the girl of the group. And then black mage, we'll call him Carl, because why not? His name's Carl. Whoops, not Carl. We'll do Carl. There we go. Alright, and let's go ahead and get started here. We'll begin with this party. And it begins. The world lies shrouded in darkness. That's metaphorical darkness, not literal darkness, even though we've got stormy clouds there. The winds die, which becomes a problem later on with some of the game's logic. Like right here, because if it pulls up, the seas rage. How can seas rage when the winds have died? You know, choppy seas are usually a byproduct of strong winds. And now the earth decays. And what's really neat is that actual reciting there of wind, water, earth. But the people believe in a prophecy, patiently waiting its fulfillment. That's actually the order that it happens in the lore, too. When darkness veils the world, 4 warriors of light shall come. After a long journey, 4 young travelers did at last appear. And in the hand of each was clutched a crystal. Alright, now Final Fantasy pretty much just bumps you right out into the overworld straight off. You gotta remember, this was originally an NES game. We do want to change a couple things, and yeah, let's bump that up. I don't necessarily want that fast, but a little bit faster is good. Dash, we have a dash button, which is good. Let's keep that manual. We can change window color. We can change controls as well if we really want to. I like to keep the movement on the stick, but you can change it to the D-pad if you want. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we can change the language settings, we can look at the bestiary, but there's no real need to do that. So first off, before we get into any fights, let's go into the town of Cornelia and start talking to people, figure out what's going on. This is Cornelia, the city of dreams. And over here we've got the inn. In here we've got, I would be most happy to teach you about equipment. Would you care to listen? Yeah, we've got basically tutorials going on here. If you need to know about items, you've certainly come to the right person. As long as you're here, why not here? No, I'm good. Tarry for just a moment to hear about monsters. I'm good. I don't need to learn anything to play this game because I know what I'm doing. I've been known to give quite a lecture on the use of magic. Have a listen? No, thank you. But the fact that this is here for new players who are unfamiliar to the franchise or the genre is really kind of nice. Alright, we got a dancer here. Hi there, I'm a dancer. What's that? You want to dance with me? Hehe. And we can take a peek at a reflection in the water. Ugh, you're filthy. Wash up already. Yeah, geez, why don't you do that? Alright, sir, what do you have to say? Restore the crystals to grace. A lot of them are going to say that. We have a well here. Looks like you could climb inside, but you can't, really. I wonder if that's a reference to something. I'm not entirely sure. You gotta remember, this game came out in '87 in Japan and 1990 in the US. Alright, let's go ahead and get some chainmail. And let's go ahead and equip it. Thankfully, we can just do optimal. Alright. And let's go ahead and buy some things here. You might think we want the staff for the black mage, but let's hold off on that because I want to get a couple rapiers and a hammer. And this is actually more efficient because once you go in here, they've got knives, but she's got a staff. You replace her staff with a hammer, and you can give the staff to the black mage. And now let's go ahead and sell these. There we go. Now let's go ahead and get our level 1 magic as much as we can. Lady, you're kind of in my way here. Oh, please, you must rescue the princess. Yeah, well, get out of my way. Thank you. Alright, let's go ahead and buy Cure for you. And for you. And we'll buy Dia as well. No, we'll hold off on that. Yeah, we'll hold off on Dia. But let's get Fire for both of you. And let's get Thunder for both of you. There we go. So you can only get, there's 4 different magic spells per level, but you can only get, say, 3 of them at a time. Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and get Sleep, round him out. So we're still missing a couple level 1 white spells for Jill, but Jack and Carl are all rounded out. So that gives you some special strategies there. And you can actually, if you decided you made the wrong decision, you can actually discard a spell if you want and go learn another one. That is something that is, I don't remember if it was added in the PlayStation version, but I'm pretty sure it's from the Game Boy Advance version onward. Sage Lucan said something about finding the Crescent Moon. Then he just up and left town. Well, we're gonna have to do something else. What are you doing over here? The king truly believes in Lucan's prophecy that the Warriors of Light will come to save the princess. Well, good for him. I don't know what's gonna happen there. Please rescue Lady Sarah. Wouldn't that be Princess Sarah? So yeah, here we have a sanctuary. There are none in need of my services. Do not lose heart, brave warriors. So for a price, they will actually revive your KO'd party members, which is good because early on in the game, that's pretty much the only way you can do it, especially in earlier versions. This one includes Phoenix Downs. I think those were added in the Game Boy Advance version. But the original NES version, and I think the PlayStation version, did not have those. I once lived far to the east of here in the harbor city of Provoca. These days, I hear it's turned into a pirate's den. Yes, it has, apparently. And if we had more money, we could buy some items, but we don't, so we can't. So you may have noticed there are 3 ways into this town: north, east, and south, and they're all blocked. This was added in with the PlayStation version, and you talk to these guys. The king is searching for the prophesized Warriors of Light. Those crystals, you must see the king at once. So yeah, if you go into Cornelia before speaking to the king, they'll block your path and make sure that you go to him to get your first quest and everything. Welcome, travelers. I am told you carry crystals. Is this true? Yeah, it's true. We carry crystals. It's just as Lucan's prophecy foretold. When the darkness fills the world, 4 warriors of light shall come. Your Majesty, we cannot be certain that these are the warriors foretold by the prophecy. Yet they stand before us with the crystals. I cannot dismiss this as mere coincidence. Crystal bearers, there is a task I would ask of you. Will you not rescue my daughter, Sarah? Garland, a knight once in His Majesty's service, has abducted Princess Sarah. I ask for your aid in the name of His Majesty, the King of Cornelia. Garland has taken refuge in the Chaos Shrine, which lies to our north. Of course, we did attempt to save the princess ourselves, but Garland is the finest swordsman in the kingdom. We have none who can match him. Yeah, I take umbrage to him being the finest swordsman in the kingdom. We'll see in a little bit. I have heard that you wish to journey to the continent to our north. The bridge leading north was lost long ago, making passage impossible. How have you kept contact with your neighbors then? I know you've got a port to the south, but you know, that's your only overland route to anywhere else. So why would you let that bridge just be destroyed for so long? Anyways, if you can rescue Sarah, I will have the bridge rebuilt as a sign of my gratitude. Go now, Warriors of Light, and do not fail me. Alright, so if we talk to him again, he pretty much says the same thing. Garland's no longer the man I once knew. I beg of you, please return my daughter to me quickly. The dancing girl in town knows many odd bits of information. If you stray from your path, try talking to her. She may know something that can put you back on course. So basically, if you get lost. This game's pretty straightforward, though. It is one of the first JRPGs, and it's fairly straightforward. It's not like the original Dragon Quest, where it kind of just dumps you in and lets you roam about. This one has a fairly linear story. Fairly linear path to go through. Our reports say that Garland fled north with the princess to the Chaos Shrine. Yes, so your reports say. But if we go north, we get to the lower level. The king is searching for the prophesized warriors of light. Those crystals, could it be? Yeah, a lot of the guards are going to say something like that. Now, in the NES version, it was later removed, but in the NES version, there was a glitch that caused one of the sprites in here to not show up, so you had an invisible woman. But she's just completely gone now. Garland was once the greatest knight in the kingdom, but power consumed him and he lost sight of who he really was. Well, I wonder why. It's never really quite explained. Please save Lady Sarah. We'll try. Alright, let's go down here. Her Majesty is overcome with grief. She's shut herself inside her chambers. Please try not to upset her. Well, if she shut herself inside her chambers, how come we can enter the chambers? Usually that would mean, like, you know, the door is locked. Nobody can come in or out without her say-so, but... I am Jane, Queen of Cornelia. Please bring my daughter, my Sarah, back to me safely. Alright. Over here... I don't know why I went all the way around here. I didn't need to. But over here we have the younger princess. My sister! I want my sister! Yeah, I don't know if that princess is ever given a name, but... The king is searching for the prophesized warriors of light. Those crystals, could it be? So yeah, another interesting thing about Castle Cornelia is that there's an entire back half to the castle that you cannot access from the front. You have to enter from the back, and this is where the treasure room is. Our ancestors sealed weapons within this treasure house 400 years ago. They then gave the key to the Elf King to hold until the coming of the Warriors of Light. Alright. So yeah, these doors are bound by the Mystic Key. Oh please, when you must rescue the princess. Yeah, this door is bound as well. And I don't know if that's a nod to Dragon Quest or not, because Dragon Quest has magic keys, which are a consumable item that unlock doors for you. And early on in this game, we have these doors that are locked by the Mystic Key. Now, the Mystic Key is just a key item. It's not consumable. But, yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Alright, so we just get out here, and it's going to be a random battle city. For those of you who are probably wondering, I will not be cutting out most of the random battles. They tend to go fairly quickly. I'll really only be cutting out any major backtracking or grinding that I have to do. Otherwise, this is what you gotta deal with. Anyways, it's really kind of interesting. I mean, it's classic turn-based menu selection battle system, and in the original version of the game, there was no redirected attacks. You pretty much had to select specifically whoever you wanted to attack, and what would happen would be if you tried to, say, have multiple characters attack the same enemy, but the enemy died before, the enemy was defeated before one of the characters could make their attack would then be useless. Now, from I believe the PlayStation version onward, we do have redirected attacks, which does reduce a little bit of the strategy because you don't have to keep a mental track of enemy health points anymore, since you can all just have everybody pile onto one enemy. But it does lead to the very valid criticism of the franchise that you just hold A or hold X or press AX or whatever to win. Of course, goblins are like the easiest enemy in the game too. Alright, so yeah, this is the bridge he was talking about there. Yeah, just see how quickly this goes now? It still takes a minute for the rounds to play out, but the actual selection, super quick, super fast. Some Final Fantasy games, you have to repeatedly tap the button to confirm your selections. Some of them, like this one, you can just hold the button. But yeah, we've got this bridge here, which is kind of trashed. And I don't understand why the Kingdom of Cornelia would let their only land route lie in ruins for so long. So it's just one of those things that kind of irks me about this game and its world building. But I do understand the purpose of it, because if that bridge was solid and you could walk across it, they could have just had somebody, you know, a guard on the bridge saying that, oh, you can't actually pass here. But again, this was the NES, so it's a little bit more restricted than it is nowadays. But they could have just like put a guard there or something saying you can't pass till you help the princess. Like, we know Garland abducted the princess. We're not letting anybody pass until she's safely returned because we don't want him to get away. But the purpose of restricting your movements like that is, again, this type of game was very new back in the late 80s. A lot of players weren't very used to what was going on here. So the actual world design is very, very strongly geared towards locking you into certain areas until you can progress to a certain point. So that way, it's kind of a way to balance the game here. We'll go ahead and do this a little bit early, but you can actually see the whole world map this way. It's just circle and select, or rather dash and select. But if we enlarge it, you can see all that's available to us right now is Cornelia, Castle Cornelia, and then up here is the Chaos Shrine. You've got mountains blocking your path to the west. You've got that bridge blocking your path to the east here. So until we've dealt with Garland, this is all we have to explore. Now, once we've dealt with Garland, the bridge is repaired. We'll get all the way over here to Provoca. We'll have like this entire space that we can explore up to that point, including the Peninsula of Power, which we'll talk about more at length later on. But once you get to Provoca, deal with the pirates, you get the ship, which gives you then the entire Aldean Sea here, this entire inland sea, which in terms of land gives you this next area. Once you finish your stuff here and done some backtracking, you can open up the peninsula to give you the rest of the map, except that the ship can only dock at ports, and there are no ports on the northern continents, which means, you know, next we'll be going over here, where we'll get the canoe, which will let us travel on rivers. And then after we get the canoe, we can get the airship, and that's going to give us pretty much everything. But this little cave here is only available in this version and the Game Boy Advance version, and I guess the mobile version. You know, nobody really talks about the mobile version. It's just a straight conversion of the PSP version, so there's like no differences. Other than like the resolution and aspect ratio and, you know, the interface itself for touchscreens. But this here is the Earth Gift Shrine. This is one of the optional late game dungeons. Yes, the Earth Gift Shrine. Long ago you could enter, but the way's been shut and the land began to decay. Yeah, the dwarves are unfortunately Scottish, and I can't really do a Scottish accent, so yeah, sorry about that. But yes, until we've restored the Earth Crystal, this place will be blocked. The putrid stench of decaying Earth hangs heavy in the air. Alright, there are 4 such dungeons, one for each of the crystals, and then there's actually a 5th hidden dungeon in this version of the game as well. And we'll get to that in a bit. But it's going to be a while before we get there, actually. Okay, wolves are a little bit stronger than goblins. As you can see, they don't go down in one hit, they take 2 from our mages. And you may notice I'm not really using magic because it's not really a crucial part of most fights, honestly. The original game had this really restrictive magic system where you really only wanted to use it for boss fights. And even though they've loosened the restrictions by turning it into a more standard MP system instead of different charges for different levels, like in D&D, even though they've made those changes, the game is still kind of balanced towards that original magic system. So it's one of those unfortunate things. Zombies, though, you know, Final Fantasy was one of the first RPGs to actually incorporate, or at least JRPGs, to actually incorporate to actually incorporate enemy weaknesses. So undead creatures like zombies and ghouls and so on, they're weak to both fire magic and holy magic. That would be the Dia spell, or the Dia spell, however you want to say it. Wargwolves are a bit rough as well. So the Chaos Shrine is the first dungeon in the game, and it's pretty straightforward. We could have just gone straight north to get to our goal, but there are a couple chests off to the west side of the dungeon that I want to grab. There are some to the east as well, but you need the Mystic Key to get those. So, yay! Eventual backtracking! Woo! For right now, though, we've got the Goblin Guards defeated. Okay. You may have noticed our party got a level up recently. We actually had 2 level ups so far. So what's kind of interesting is no matter what class your party members are, it's always going to take them the exact same skill points as the other class, or the exact same experience points as the other classes to get to the next level. So if you can end every battle with every character alive, they will always be the same level. That's probably not going to happen. Once we get to Astos, that's probably going to be the first time we end up with a dead character, but it happens. Anyways, let's go ahead and give Carl the leather cap. For some reason, he tends to be one of my weakest characters usually. Although for some reason, Jack has the lowest amount of hit points right now. I don't quite understand that. But regardless, we got ambushed by zombies, and I don't think zombies can do it, but I know there are zombie-like creatures that can paralyze your enemies, or paralyze your party, which is not good because some of them can come in groups of 9. You can have up to 9 enemies on the field at once. Let's go ahead and use... Yeah, let's go ahead and heal Candle. There we go. So yeah, the biggest reason why I don't want to really get rid of a lot of the random encounters in editing is because, well, that's kind of the bread and butter of the game. It's not just exploring and experiencing the story, it's also going through the combat. You know, the random encounters are the combat. You know, if I start cutting all those out, you guys will end up missing like a big chunk of the game. There we go, got another level up to level 4. We are definitely able to take down this dungeon now. You know, Garland is the boss in this dungeon. He's really only a challenge if you are still level 1 when you go up against him, or if you're running a party of all white mages, which, you know, why would you ever do that? White mages are good support characters, they're not good offensive characters. So I don't know why anybody would ever do the white mage challenge. That just seems like not fun. But then again, there are people that like Dark Souls, so who am I to complain or comment or whatever? Yeah, I don't really much care for the Souls games. It's just hitting my head up against a brick wall repeatedly is not really my idea of fun. So, yeah, I will never do run a full party of white mages in this game. Actually, I almost always do the exact party I have now. Warrior, red mage, white mage, black mage. To me, that is like the most balanced party. If you're running one of the older versions, like the NES or the PS1, since they're more difficult, the Thief can be a good alternative because he has a higher chance to run away when fleeing, but other than that, you know, I could even switch out the warrior for the monk, but, you know, there's so many good weapons in this game, and the monk is best without weapons, so... Yeah, anyways, now we have a Gigasworm. Gigasworm or Gigasworm. These guys can be a bit tough. Alright. And we got some here, we got a potion, and we got a tent, so that is good. Now that we've got the loot, let's go ahead and go here. So this is a really neat feature that was introduced in the Game Boy Advance version. There was kind of a proto version of it in the PlayStation version, where the original game only allowed you to save when you were at an inn. The PlayStation version, I think, started to allow you to save on the overworld. Excuse me, sorry. I'll try to remember to cut those out, because that's going to peak really badly. I thought I hit the mute button, but apparently I didn't. Sorry, I just coughed. So the original game allowed you to save at an inn or through using, on the overworld, through using like specific items like tents, sleeping bags, and cottages. And the PlayStation version was much the same. It might have let you save anywhere on the overworld, I don't remember. But it introduced a memo save function, which was kind of like a quick save where you could save like pretty much anywhere at any time, but that save file would be wiped as soon as you turn the game off. As soon as you turn the system off, you know, that file was gone. You had to load up from an official save. Well, starting on the Game Boy Advance version, because it is a portable system and Nintendo and Square Enix knew that people were going to be picking it up and putting it down for like 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, they started to allow you to save anywhere, including in dungeons. And that is a huge, huge, huge quality of life improvement I greatly, greatly admire. So you can see, like, these are like previous saves I have, including, I think that was probably my best time, was beating the game in just under 9 hours. Yeah, that's a clear save file. There we go. Let's go ahead and overwrite that save.